Welcome back to Blooming in Brisbane, and now we're going to have a chat to Isobel. So welcome to Blooming in Brisbane.
Thank you.
First of all, where are we?
We're in Pinjarra Hills in the west of Brisbane.
And how long have you been here for?
We've been here for 40 years next May.
And so tell me about your garden. I've had a quick look around. First of all, I love it. And
Thank you.
How big is it?
It's 5 acres. It's actually 2.5 acre blocks, but it's 5 acres. And we have 1 acre, approximately 1 acre that we keep for the land for wildlife in the gully so that the animals can, still maintain their roots and whatever. And the rest of it's garden. So it is a big garden. It's a 4 acre garden. 4 acres and 1 acre of bush.
So how did you get into gardening? Have you always had a passion for plants?
I have, and my father was passionate about plants, and it comes from that, so there's a fair bit of family history. My very earliest memory is planting tomato seeds and running out every morning to see them if they were up, so it goes way back. But I didn't start gardening as an adult really till I got here to Pinjarra Hills.
And when you have a palette, like to start with the bushland, how do you create such this beautiful escape?
Yes, well, that's interesting. My husband's not a gardener, so he wasn't really interested. So originally we bought a little house on the 2.5 acre block, and I just sort of tried to garden around it. I had no idea about Brisbane schist, the shale and clay, and really for the first 5 or 6 years when I was having children and didn't have much time and didn't know how the soil worked, I really struggled to get anything to grow. And then we had an old shed down the back, and my husband used to slash behind the house and put it all in a pile. And I said, I want to put a creeper to cover that shed. And so I moved all these clippings, and lo and behold, there was soil underneath. And that's when I realised about mulching. Because 40 years ago, no one talked about mulching. It was the scorched earth policy. You had your vegetable garden beds all clean within an inch of their lives, and then you put the fertilisers on, but no one mulched. Of course, people can't imagine that today. But so that's how I discovered about the mulching, and so all these garden beds were built up usually for several years before I even planted anything. So I just moved out from the house, and then my husband built a tennis court, the pool first, and then so I gardened around that, and then he did the tennis court, and I said, well, we have to garden around that, and so it went. And then we acquired the block next door, just to give us a bit of a buffer, and he said no gardening on that, but then he put a carport for the kids by this stage who were at university, a carport on it for their cars, and I said, well, I have to garden around that, and so it went like that. But I do think of a theme, and if something happens, if a tree falls or I find it naturally boggy area, I try to work with the natural topography of the place and then create something around that. So it's basically how I do it. It's not just one big dream, it was a gradual process.
I see a lot of bridges.
Yes.
You have a passion for...
Well, I like bridges and I like seating. I'm not such a big fan. I do have some, Balinese statues and things, but I'm more for the natural kind of look of things, and I try to, because it's in a gully, because the garden is in a gully, we have the bridges over the gully. It just makes sense, and then you can sort of put a bit of a dry creek bed, or it just lends itself to giving a focal point, because I just think most garden areas need a focal point, and they really just serve as that, and then I can go for my life around them.
And how many different types of plants, this is going to be a tricky one, how many different types of plants do you think you have?
I just wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't have a clue. But what has happened is, when I came, it was really quite bare. I think it had been an old dairy farm or something, and it had gone to lantana and soap bush and that sort of thing. And it was quite bare and very hot. So the first thing I did was plant all these trees, and so that was the focus for a while. And now there's a lot of shade. So it's actually quite hard to grow sun-loving things. So for example, if I want to plant a rose, I wouldn't even know where I could find enough sun to do that, probably. which suits me because I think in a subtropical garden you're looking for shade, and I like the shady plants anyway, the tropical foliage plants, the bromeliads and all those sort of things. With the frangipanis, there's a lot of different frangipanis, and all my frangipanis are from cuttings from a tree that I know has a good flower form and head of flowers and that sort of thing. And then I didn't like bromeliads, but I had to get into them, and now I love them. So now I'm always looking for new bromeliads, and I'm just starting to get into orchids, which was my father's passion. So yeah.
Yeah, I noticed the footpath is very different for a footpath. Can you explain about that?
Yes. Well, I don't know how I originally came upon the idea, but the good part about sawdust is that it grows with the roots. So we do have brick paths around here, and some of them I've had to remove, and some of them are desperately in need of attention because the roots grow and they upset it. So I was looking for something that wouldn't be upset by the roots of the trees as they grew, and bark was a bit harsh underfoot, and gravel, you know, and I don't know, for some reason I thought of this. The only problem with it is if you really have a deluge, it can wash out. But I would say in all the openings of the garden I've had, the most asked question is, what's on the paths? So it's interesting. It's a wonder more people aren't doing it, I suppose, but it's hard to get hold of.
And so how often has your garden been open to the public?
Well, I was just checking that with head office the other day because I wasn't sure. Apparently I opened the first time in November of 1997, and this, you know, in 3 weeks' time will be the 13th opening. So I've missed a year here and there when I've opened in spring and don't want to open 6 months later, so I go 18 months or that sort of thing. So yes, 13 times. Yeah.
So if someone visited the garden, say, a few years ago and they were to revisit, would they be surprised at the change?
People do revisit, which is lovely, and I'm hoping more people will revisit. I do always have something new, and of course, being in the garden and the garden owner, it's like watching your children grow. I can't really see the difference, but people that haven't seen it for a few years assure me that, oh wow, that's grown or whatever else. But I do have always a new section, and this year this rock garden's one of the new sections, and there's a new bridge and revamped areas. Just because you've been once doesn't mean you don't want to see it again in a different season or in a different light, or see what happened to it. Or so that's what I feel, that it's worth opening again, because you know, people can see it. It will be different. It will be different. Yeah.
Yep. And what dates will your garden be open to the public?
We're opening on Anzac weekend. I hope that isn't a bad omen, because of long weekend, but on the 26th, the Saturday and the Sunday, the 26th and the 27th of April.
So for a great weekend event, it's enjoyable for the whole family.
It is enjoyable for the whole family, and we have a sausage sizzle and a coffee shop, and all the money from that is going to the late Alison Baden Clay Children's Foundation. So you can come and you can have lunch, or you can have afternoon tea or morning tea, and then have another wander, have a drink, and some people come up and have a drink and then come back and say, oh, I was thirsty. And so there's lots of options, and we are having an art exhibition, so there's something for everybody, I would say.
So you're going to be busy getting prepared for the open garden. Then are there future plans?
Well, we will be busy trying to get it, you know, picobello for the day. And no, I haven't got immediate plans now, but they always pop up. There's always ideas floating around in the background, and things happen, and you know, and that'll trigger an idea, and away we go with that. So we'll just see. But for this time, this rock garden and the gully's redone, and yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us on Blooming in Brisbane.
Thank you very much for having me.